Welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast. We are back with Coach Javier in Dagestan. Been sitting around the hotel getting some extra Netflix hours in or whatever, dealing with the team remote. How have things been for you? You look like you're a lot healthier and the headaches are gone and everything.
Yeah. I had the COVID for. I was in quarantine actually 12 days. Can you see
Yeah,
me? My
I can see you. Yeah.
Yeah. I had COVID for like actually 14 days. I was quarantined for 10 and had headaches for 5 days, but not bad. It wasn't bad at all. And I've had the Moderna shot, 2 shot process. One at the end of May, and then the final shot like mid-June. And then in November, I had the Chinese version in Abu Dhabi. I had October, and then 3 weeks later, I had it, again in November. And they said my antibodies were low. My doctor said, he goes, I better take another shot. So I took another shot. And I've been on my vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin C, B12, Immuplex, zinc, you know, um, turmeric, all those things. And, I don't know what would have happened to me because I'm not in great shape, as you can tell, Mr. Fatty. Um, what would have happened to me had I not been on my vitamins, had I not taken the shots? Would I have gotten worse? Would I have gotten less? I don't know. I do know that I was sick and I had COVID, and even up to the days when I was feeling good, I retested myself and I still was still positive. But everything I read that said that after the like in a 10-day process from when you test, if you have
Yeah.
no symptoms at all, you're good to go, even though you test positive, because you could test positive even after 3 months after you're good. So that's because I had, it's in you already. So I did test positive last Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
and I was after feeling 3 good days, and that was like my 11th day in quarantine. So I waited an extra 2 days just to be safe. I didn't see anybody. I stayed in my room. I let nobody come near me. They either called me or they stayed like 10 feet away. They knock on the door, and then they get away from me, and I talk to them. So, but as far as the Netflix, I didn't get to watch any Netflix. Although I love Netflix, but I didn't get to watch any Netflix. I was too busy on
I,
the
I,
phone
I
doing
I
other
thought they'd
things.
be outlawed with Habib not liking Netflix. I thought they'd be outlawed in Dagestan.
No, I always hear, they're not that big into movies and whatnot. They're okay into it, but they're not. It's not a big thing from over there. Sports is more of a thing over here than stuff like that. I mean, a lot of the people over here are. I mean, they're beautiful people. It's unbelievable how friendly, how hospitable they are, how they go out of their way to help you. Every single person I've ever met here goes out of the way to help me, even if they don't know who I am. They go out of the way to help me. It just like Dagestan just feels like home. It really does. The only thing that scares the living hell out of me is they're driving. The roads are not safe. There's no street signs that say what's this, what's that. I mean, these people know where they're going, and there's potholes everywhere. That's the only thing I can. On the negative side, that would be the only. They're driving, and the street situations. They're not. I'm not used to that. There's a lot of like back roads type like stuff. And other than that, I could live here in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that the other day. Like, did you ever imagine yourself here and, coaching in San Jose, California, bringing up champions, going back and forth to Vegas? Like, Dagestan was the furthest thing from your mind? I mean, if I
It
put
definitely was the
myself,
furthest thing from my mind. 100%. It wasn't for my wife. Keep telling me I have to go. I have to go. Habib's putting all this time for you. You have to show him that you care about him too, because it can't just be him always doing everything he's got to do. Brings his whole team here for you. You have to make an effort to go over there. And I'm like, and I'm avoiding it. I'm avoiding it. She was on me for 3 years before I finally went, and I'm glad she made me go because it opened my eyes to a whole new world, and and also the pandemic. Because of the pandemic, I had to leave my gym to go train him elsewhere. Otherwise, I wouldn't have survived because he couldn't come train with us because we were in lockdown. So, the COVID situation created this traveling coach per se that I've become. I'm a traveling coach, and now I made a commitment where I'm Team Khabib and I'm Team AKA. But although they say I'm the head coach, but I'm not the head coach of AKA like I used to be. It's Ron Kessler. He's the head coach, and now Cain Velasquez is coming in helping out a lot over there. And sure, when I go back, I'm their mentor, and I can lead the whole place. But it's the same thing here with Khabib. He's got a hell of a coaching staff, hell of wrestling, Olympian level type wrestling coaching, and world level type striking coaching, and boxing coaching, and fitness coaching, strength and conditioning coaching. He's got every kind of coaching you can name. They got a restaurant in there with health food. I mean, Habib has everything you need. It's a one-stop shop. And on the morning training, there's anywhere from 40 to 60 professional fighters. And a lot of these guys are world class, man. World class. Some of them are world class boxing champion, not boxing, kickboxing champions, wrestling champions, sambo champions, you name it. And a majority of them are from what I would call father's plan, meaning they're his father's students when they were like little boys.
Wow, that's the real deal right there. So you've got it's a different look. I mean, you've seen MMA evolve where it was where everyone was trying to figure it out to a place that's like, yeah, we got this figured out, automatic.
Well,
Right? I
no,
mean,
no, they didn't have it automatic. They got a lot of help from AKA and a lot of the coaching we did, and we kind of helped each other. They came to me, I came to them. We kind of shared ideas, by trial and error, and now they have it. They have it, and we have it. AKA has it, Dagestan has it. They have a bigger abundance of athletes because this is more of a wrestling, sambo type of providence, or caucus, I guess if you want to call it. That's what they're big into over here. So, but we both schools have the same. It's almost the same training formula. Both schools have.
that's interesting. Well, yeah, because you guys started working together so much that everybody took the good parts out and evolved, and it's interesting. They get different looks coming to the States against American wrestlers. The Americans get to see Dagestani wrestling and Sambo and Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing in different looks. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how it all came about. I was just referring like to the beginning where like, okay, you're a boxer or a kickboxer. Now you're everything. But
Well,
that's
yeah,
pretty
no,
cool.
these guys are everything. I mean, like even Habib's crew, they weren't strikers. They were more sambo wrestling kind of guys. Now they're everything. Habib's crew is everything. They're everything. They're great strikers. They're great ground guys. And it was father's plan all along. And that's why I call it father's plan all the time because, him and I never discussed anything about strategies or anything else, but we knew what we were thinking and we knew what we wanted. We both wanted the same thing, but they're his students. They're his students. They're his students. They're not mine. I come in and I'm getting the reward and the credit on things that his father has been working for many years with these kids. And I come in, and I only spend 3, 4, 5 months with them. And all of a sudden I'm the great coach. Well, the great coach was the one that was with them many years before that. I'm coming in and I help put things together for them and I help improve certain areas, but they were already made. The foundation was already built by father.
Well, there's the adapting too. Like initially, I'm not speaking inside baseball, but you're getting used. Usman was getting used to you, and now he's totally embracing working with you. But at first, you're like, a little miscommunication. Him understanding now there's a new guy that's there to help him out, and it looked like that. Now I see the fluidity of it now, but I saw the beginning, the little differences. That was the adapting from father's plan to having Javier taking, filling
Well,
in
I
a
don't
part
know.
of
I don't
it.
know about that one. Was father's plan? It was just a matter of him getting used to me. He wasn't. He wasn't. There was a connect and then disconnect, and now he's fully connected with me. Usman was fully connected with me, and now I know I can do something with him because no matter how much talent he has, and I happen to think he's the most talented MMA fighter I've ever trained. But he didn't have the mind that like someone like Khabib, Cain Velasquez, DC. incredible mindset, and he didn't have that, and so I was concerned about that. So Habib and I have been working on him on his mental, and we are almost there. And he's got the right frame of mind. He has the right ideas. He's putting in the work, and he understands that training with me, it's not going to be trained with coach 2 times and I'm going to go out there and demonstrate great technique and great stuff. He realizes that it's going to take a long time to be with me and learn from me and actually get it to apply. You can't just train with somebody a couple weeks or a couple months and you think it's going to change your whole fighting, strategies and how you throw your technique. It's not going to happen like that. It takes a long time, and he understands that. And that's the start of a great coach fighter relationship. He's already has that with Habib, and he's starting to get it with me too. So he's got two coaches that understand what it takes to be a champion and what are the requirements to make one, and he has every one of them.
Well, for him, it was like, he'd already had a bunch of fights in the bag, right? And when he shows up and meets you, I mean, in the Russian leagues and so forth, and all of a sudden, like 13 fights in, I don't know what the number was, all of a sudden, like, hey, here's Coach Javier, and he's like stuck to his old thing. So that was
Yeah,
the novelty. That's what I was trying
yeah.
to
He,
say.
he was he was 11-0 if I'm not mistaken when I got him. He was 11-0, so it wasn't like I got a guy. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like he was father's plan. I just got him for the last 2 fights. His 2 Bellator fights is when I was working with him. I didn't work with him before that. He was 11. I think he was 10-0 or 11-0. So this will be my third fight that I'm working with him on. All Bellator events. So I didn't work with him before that. So you know. It's like, I don't like taking credit on something that someone else did. And in this particular case, there was other instructors and, Abdul Manap, Habib's father.
Well, he goes to the big show with you, the bigger show, and he comes out there with a success, and then a second one he feels okay, there's something here. I see what Habib's saying. I'm learning it. So, yeah, that's the change. I mean, it's just different to come to you at that point in your career. That was it. I mean, Habib came to you in the beginning of his UFC career, right? Pretty much,
Yes.
and same with
Yes.
Islam.
Yeah. Islam, same. They were in the UFC when they came to me, and Abu Bakr was not, and Umar was not, and Tahir was not, and a few of the other guys. Haji Gaji, who's in Bellator, was not, and Sagid was, and Sagid's fighting, and Dana White's got to fight, and I'm thinking that they're probably going to take him. Last time he broke his hand with the very first punch he threw, so it didn't work out for him. But since then he's been on a tear, so he should perform really well. But yeah, these guys when they start coming with me, I add to what they already have. I take nothing away. And I make sure that they stay on the program that kept them where they're at. And I just add something new to it. That's all.
Yeah, I could just see a fighter showing up going, we're going to do it new. It's been working. I'm superstitious. It's kind of working what I'm doing, right? I mean, that's why I thought that. That's why I brought that up.
Well,
Just
the thing is this. Okay, look, listen. It's like I'll use Alejandro Perez as last fight in the UFC. I looked at the scenario. I looked at the strength of his opponent, and I said Alejandro can wrestle him all day long. It's a wrestling scenario. It's the right thing to do, etc., etc. I tell head coach Ron Kessler, you instill it, and Alejandro, he got to wrestle. Got to wrestle. Use his wrestling. This is the key to victory. We have to use our wrestling. So, Alejandro trains in Mexico for this whole camp. He didn't train at all at AK San Jose. He got the strength and everything he got, the desire, the strength, the confidence from his training in Mexico with his family, Antonio, his striking coach. And because of the mentality that they're not really MMA mentality, their mentality was that we're just going to go and knock this guy out because that's what we're going to do. We're going to knock this guy out. Well, if you're an MMA coach, then you look at your strengths of your fighter and you see what the strengths the other fighter has, and you go, okay, we don't match up so well here, or we match up pretty even here, but this is where we're head above, And I looked at his opponent and I said, man, we're head above shoulders with this guy on the wrestling. So we have to use the wrestling. So I tell, Ron Kessler, the head coach, make sure you tell him. And that's Ron's mentality anyways. I didn't really have to tell Ron anything because he's hell of a coach. He already knew. But anyways, it's good to have reinforcement from your mentor, which I'm his mentor, of course, because he was my fighter at one point. And so he's instilling that in Alejandro. But the problem was that the other coaches were telling him knock him out. So for the first 8 minutes, Alejandro's trying to knock his opponent out. Well, guess what? He was loading up. He was looking kind of wild. The other guy was picking him apart. The other guy was kicking his butt, you know. And I'm like, oh, man, he's going to lose the fight. I cannot believe, I was disappointed. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he shoots in a beautiful takedown, has top control, this and that, pinned his one arm down, got him on an arm lock, shoulder crank, and tapped him out. And that's something he learned from Carolyn Webster, and this is stuff that helped him in that fight. It was not his striking, because that's all he was doing was striking. He won this fight because of the previous training he had with Carolyn. And again, you got to understand the playing field. Just because you're striking and that's all you're doing, you don't go in and fight another striker that can potentially beat you. You go look at where you think you can beat him and where your coaches see the strengths are. Well, we, meaning myself and Ron Kessler, hands down, felt wrestling. Hands down, that's our best way to go. But the other coaches, which did not coordinate with Ron or I, were having the mentality that we're going to go knock this guy out. So that's what Alejandro tried to do. And it wasn't working out in his favor. So game planning, and I'm making this speech, and I'm using my own guys, so people out there that are listening need to understand, the fight game of MMA is not who's the toughest striker. It's who's got the better game plan, who can implement the game plan, or who can stop the game plan. And this was the case. The game plan was to knock him out. Well, they had the antidote for that, so they stopped it. But they didn't have the antidote for the wrestling. So that's why we were able to dominate, because he finally went to that key ingredient, the wrestling ingredient that he got from Carolyn.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting how that works. Let's talk about let's look at this right here. This is what's happening right now. This has changed since we last talked. Islam got a new opponent, and he's going to fight Dan Hooker because apparently RDA hurt himself, which is part of the game. It happens, Not picking on him or throwing any shade on him, because I'm sure he would show up to fight. Everybody's
He's
like,
oh
yeah.
RDA's a fighter.
A fighter fights, right?
He fights.
So how did you feel when this showed up, when, this new fight showed up for Islam?
Well, I kind of thought that Hooker would take the fight, just based on hearing his coach, Eugene Berryman, say that Hooker would take a fight on 1 day notice, 2 day notice, anything of that nature. So I figured, well, okay. And I don't know him to be nothing but a very honest, good coach. So I figured, okay, if the picks are Dan Hooker and X and X and X, I'm thinking, well, Dan Hooker is probably going to be, because he's not going to turn it down. He wasn't injured in his last fight. I guess he had a good showing against a decent fighter. So for him, why not get back on the horse, and especially go after Islam, which, as he describes, it's like beating Islam would be like beating Khabib, which of course it's not, because Islam is Islam. He's not Khabib, but there is a mystique behind Islam, that he's the next heir, and I happen to agree with Hooker that it kind of in a way is, because I do agree that Islam is the heir to that lightweight throne, and he's the guy to beat. So he's correct. So he is doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing, because that's what you're in the fight game for, right? You want to beat the guy that's supposed to be the guy. Well, everybody's saying that Islam is the guy, and of course I'm one of them. Habib's one of them, and many others. So for Dan, that's a big incentive, and it's a big payday, it's a big boost, and he's in great shape, and he's got the right mindset, and it's a good matchup for us, We'll see whether he can prevent the takedown, or where he can prevent the striking. We'll see. I would say it's not going to be like he thinks. He's not going to have the opportunities he thinks he's going to have. But that's because I'm the coach too. You got to understand that. I have to believe that about my fighter, just like they have to believe that about him. They have to believe that you can stop his takedowns. They have to believe that you can catch him going up the middle with the knee. They have to believe you can catch him with the left hook. They have to believe that, because if they don't believe that, then don't go with your fighter in the corner, because it's not good for him. You got to have the right mentality. You have to have the right energy for your fighter to feed off of you. You can't go in negative. So they're going to come in pumped up. They're going to come in ready, and so are we. We're going to come in confident. We're going to come in pumped up, ready to go, and I believe in my heart, that Islam Makhachev is going to prevail. Whether it's 3 round, I don't know if it's a 5 or 3 round, right? Whether it's a 3 round
It's
beatdown
probably
or
three. Yeah.
yeah,
Probably three.
I don't know how it's going to happen. I just know Islam Makhachev doesn't lose without with exception like anybody. Anybody can lose with a good shot, but other than that, he doesn't lose to nobody.
Yeah, it's a long way to the top, but he's there. And it's interesting to see that the opponent changes, and you probably see pluses and minuses with each different opponent you're proposed, right? Like you saw different things that with RDA, and you see different things with Dan Hooker,
Yeah,
advantages and disadvantages, right?
yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah, yeah. They're both good challenges. But in my opinion, they were both challenges that Islam was going to pass. So yeah, they're both good challenges. So to me, they're both worthy. They're definitely better than the competition he's faced in the past. So it's a go. It's a definite go. It's a definite go, and I'm excited to see how great he's going to perform against them, because I predict he's going to perform great.
Yeah, it's how much did the game plan change? Not asking what it is, but percentage wise, would you say just a hypothetical, like a percentage, like, oh, it's 30% different than the last one, or how similar are these two
Very
opponents in the way they
similar, very similar. But the thing
right?
of it is that the thing about Islam is that you know people will learn with time. He can stand with anybody. I don't care who
Right.
it is. Anybody in the lightweight division, he can stand with them. I don't care. I don't care who they are. You can stand with them and beat them and beat them. I'm not just talking about standing. I'm talking and beat them. So he can decide what poison he wants to use. Habib and I will give him the right game plan. Like I told you guys on the last
Right.
show, the game plan was to stand with his last opponent. Okay, we were going to stand, but 1 hour before we went out there, I looked at Habib and I said, you know what? My gut feeling says we take this guy down. I think it's much easier to take him down. And so we told Islam, change the plan, take him down.
Yeah.
Took him down. And that's the beauty of having Islam Makhachev. He's so well rounded, you don't have to specifically train him for one thing or another. He can do it all, and he trains it all.
He can
So
switch it tomorrow. Okay.
anytime,
Yeah. Right.
anytime. So there's not going to be, well, we were ready for a wrestler, and no, we got a striker. Oh, we're ready for striker, and we got a wrestler. With Islam, it don't matter. With Habib, it didn't matter. It didn't matter because Habib was going to do father's plan no matter what. Islam does father's plan, and he does other plans. He does Islam's plan, father's plan, a little my plan, and he puts them all together. Habib, he was most successful with father's plan.
Yeah. Look like Habib got out and get to do some stuff with like the Arnold Classic in England and meet some soccer players. Looks like things are. He's a big showing up to do meet and greets everywhere.
Well,
You
he's
were
like he texted me. He actually left me a voice message. He was like a kid in a candy store, being at the Wimbledon. Not, I mean, whatever the Manchester
oh man,
stadium.
yeah, Man
He,
United, yeah.
yeah, he was, man. He was so in awe. He was, coach. There's 70,000 people. The energy's crazy. It's crazy. This is my childhood dream. La 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 la, and he loved it. That was his love. So for him, look, listen, straight up on me. I don't know who's who is what. I know people ask me this soccer player. I don't know. I know 5 soccer players. Okay, five, and I'm
Yeah.
not talking about present players. I'm talking about 5 total names that I actually know. People ask me, "What's your first one?" I go, "Well, Pele. Pele is the first one I know because Pele, one of the biggest soccer players of all time. Second one, Maradona. Okay, I know him. and the third one, David Beckham. I know David Beckham because he was in those commercials and his wife and blah blah blah. And then the fourth one I know is Messi because he was a little guy and he's so famous and la 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 and he's a big time famous star. And of course Cristiano number one. Those are the only five I know. I don't know anybody else. So and it's not like I want to know more of these soccer players. I don't. I'm not a soccer fan. I think it's a great sport. I think they're great athletes. I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, we call it soccer, they call it football, and then they criticize it for calling it soccer.
Look, listen, it's the number one sport in the world, hands
It
down.
is. It
Number
is.
one sport in the world. And may always be the number one sport in the world. The MMA is still the fastest growing sport in the world, but I don't know if it'll ever be the
No, because I
biggest.
think more people can play soccer, football as a kid, growing up where they're from, and just all you need is a ball and a field. So
Yeah,
people do it, And
inexpensive.
it was so big where I grew up in Italy, Hav. I mean, you would try to go out on a Sunday, every store shut down. All the freeways, there was double guys parking on the white line in the middle of the two roads, going back and forth, double parking all the way through just to get to the stadium. And you could just hear the roar of the stadium even 7 miles away. It was that crazy. So yeah, I've seen what he's going through. It's good that he's having a good time. What about Usman? What's going on with him? He's got a fight coming up. That's a big Bellator show, right?
Yeah, I just trained him today. He's looking great. We went 6 rounds. He's so freaking talented, man. He's so good. He's so good. Watch out, the world. The new superstar. If you don't know it, you will know it. He's arrived. And he'll prove it October 23rd against his opponent. He's going to showcase. We looked at the film on his opponent. His opponent's a decent fighter. Usman is just on a different level, and he's going to prove it. And then we got the next level, and he's going to prove it again. And the next level is going to prove it again. And then before you know it, there'll be a title fight for Bellator, and he's going to win that. And I see huge stardom for him, huge because number one, he's exciting. Number two, he's got a good look. He's a good-looking guy. And number three, he's very charismatic. He's got a great,
Very
very
likable person.
very
Yeah.
likable, sweet, innocent personality, and he's very likable. And for women, of course, because he's a very looking guy. For guys, because he's a stud. He's a killer. That's why I call him the finisher. Because when he hurts you, he finishes you. So he has all the tools that guys would respect. And from the female side, they don't care about the fighting; they care about the looks. And he has
His fan mail might be pretty big in the future.
yeah,
Because
his fan
everybody
mail's
they
going to be
get,
huge. Yeah, I'm sure
right?
it's going to be huge. But his personality is very very likable. They're all different, and I see him and Umar being champions. I see Umar being the champion of the UFC, undefeated, and I see Usman and Bellator undefeated champions. So think about that: three, three cousins, two brothers, going to be champions, undefeated. One is already retired, the greatest lightweight of all time, arguably one if not the greatest fighter of all time. I would say he's the greatest fighter of all time, but of course, there's good arguments that from other people and that are warranted. But I still say he's the greatest fighter of all time. But there is good arguments for other people being there,
Right.
And I don't say nah, but I'm just saying who I say is the greatest. I mean,
Yeah.
and Daniel Cormier is right up there too. He's right up there in the top five to me. Daniel Cormier is in the top five, pound for pound, greatest fighter of all time.
So how do you think about this big Bellator going down in Russia for the first time? Probably huge stadium, and I know the Russians show up, especially for Fedor. Especially for
Yeah,
Fedor.
Fedor is a huge star here, and they're going to show up. And Habib's show was we did on fight nights. It was crazy. I mean, I got mobbed. I couldn't. Man, it was nuts.
Right?
Really, really, really nuts. They're just so passionate about the sport, and none of them were rude, but they were just over anxious to get pictures with you, talk to you and have you say something on their phone, just a little overboard, but it wasn't with bad intent. It was really good intent, and they're just huge fans. And I see this being as a great event for Bellator, just like when they did the England show of Michael Venom Page.
Yeah.
It looked like that was a hell of a show at the arena they threw over there with Michael Venom being the main event. So I look at that as they're repeating it and going to be in Moscow. The same thing. They're going to have a great event.
How big
Guaranteed.
is the stadium that Scott's shooting for? Do you know?
I
Any
don't
idea?
know. I don't know. I don't know.
I know a friend of mine helped coordinate a fight with Fedor for his comeback against Jeff Monson, and that stadium was packed out. And that was just Fedor, and it wasn't any big promotion's name.
You don't need to
So,
have. This is the thing about Fedor. Okay,
right?
Fedor, for whatever you want to talk or whatever you want to say, Fedor can fight whoever the hell he wants. He can fight whoever he wants. He could have fought somebody from the old man tour that's been retired, that's a big name. That he could have fought anybody. This guy, but who does he pick? He picks one of the tougher guys that's still in the league, that's still dangerous. He doesn't
Yeah.
pick. He doesn't pick an easy picking guy or an older guy like him. He picks a guy that's still in the mix.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. Pretty ballsy. You know. It's like, hey, it's kind of like Shamil, the president for EFC. He did his last fight, and he himself picked the toughest opponent that was out there, the very toughest opponent that was in the EFC. And of course, he got knocked out in the first round. But there you go. Here's this guy saying he's putting his stamp on his word by doing what he says. We throw good fights. We throw competitive fights. We don't give gimme fights. It's their show, but he didn't get a gimme fighter. He took the toughest fighter he could find, and it didn't go his way. And guess what? You have to respect and you have to applaud him, because here's an organization that they're not giving you gimme fights. You have to
Right.
earn it. So Fedor is kind of like the same way in the mentality of a promotion like that. He's like, no, I don't want an easy fight. Give me a tough fight. That's a
Yeah.
true warrior. That is a true warrior through and through. But I think if you know anybody in the history of time that knows Fedor, I haven't met even all the fighters that have beaten him. They all love him. I haven't heard anybody say anything
I was
different
so
about him.
impressed watching him years
They
ago.
all love him. No
Yeah.
one. I've never heard anything negative being said about Fedor in my whole life as an MMA coach or as a fighter. When I've heard of Fedor Emelianenko, I've never heard from anybody. I've never heard anything bad about the man, and I still to this day have not.
Well, it ought to be exciting. So that's what's that, a week out from now or a couple weeks? And how long till that fight? End of the month, right?
23rd of October. And
Okay,
we're
you
at,
got
we're
that,
at,
and then you have to go back to back. You have to go hop from there, hop on a plane, and catch up with Islam for Abu Dhabi,
I leave on the 7th to Dubai, and then
right?
I go on the 20th to Moscow. Then I come back to Abu Dhabi, and then I got other things I got to do. And then we got the EFC is going to be at the Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai. Habib show is going to throw a big giant show there, so I'll be there for that. A lot of work, a lot of work.
A lot of work, a lot of fighters. You got how many guys on the card with Islam? 3.
I'll have 3. I have Zubaira, Tahir, and Islam. And Zubaira, Habib and I have been working exclusively with him on the mental part and getting him to fight the way to his advantage. And it's coming around. It's coming around. And Tahir, workhorse.
Yeah,
Workhorse.
Tahir's
What a
just
workhorse.
yeah.
He's doing great. Doing fantastic.
No, Zubair. You said Zubair got a new opponent too. You were telling me that the other day.
I saw a new opponent on the lineup, but I talked to him today after I trained him today. He goes, no, coach, my opponent's the same. I go, okay. Look it up.
Yeah.
See if you can see it right now. Look it up.
Okay, let me look it up. Hang on one second. So, let's see. Look it up on the old computer, guys. Takes a second. And that fight is the UFC. What's the headline of that card again?
The champ, the light heavyweight
Is it
champ.
Usman Covington or no?
No,
that's not
the
it.
champ.
I'm looking.
And then the ex champ, the Russian Yan, Peter Yan.
Peter Yan? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that. Sorry about the delay here, but hey, it's just not coming up so quickly. Well, that's good. So you're feeling better, you're getting ready for training, and you're about to be a very, very busy man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real
Yeah?
busy. It's
How long-
really,
Is that stressful or is it okay?
it's what I love to do.
Right? You get paid to do what you love. That's what matters. Yeah, trying to find this thing. Sorry about that. Yeah, UFC 267. 267. Boom. Yes, here we go. It's Blackowitz Teixeira.
Yeah,
That's the card.
yeah, got it.
So you've got Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, Magomed Ankalaev versus Volkan and Alexander Volkov. And gosh,
The
Hazmat's on that
Chinese
fight.
guy versus what do you call it, right?
Hazmat.
Hazmat Chimaev.
Yeah. So he's fighting Ricardo Ramos, Zubairez.
That's what I saw, but he said no.
And then Shamil, is he with you guys? Shamil
No,
Gamzatov? No?
no.
Yeah. There's so many
Here.
different teams within Dagestan.
Here's our guy, and
Yeah.
Zubaira and Islam. That's it. Those are my three guys.
He's fighting Alan Nascimento. It doesn't even have a picture to hear.
Yeah, I don't have even anything on him. I'm trying to find info on him. I can't find nothing. So for those of you that have any video on him, please send it to me.
Send it to Coast on Instagram.
I'm asking, hey, is anybody dope? Well, another go, what the hell? No, you know.
Yeah.
And then Ramos, if Ramos is, I don't know which Ramos this is, right? It's.
Let me
I
give
didn't
that to
talk
you.
because I'm
Ricardo Ramos.
Yeah.
He's Brazilian. He is 15-3-0.
Okay.
Yep.
Good record.
Good record.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's fighting the alpha male guy. Is the guy I was told.
He's 20% KO, 40% sub, and 33% decision.
Yeah.
So, and I guess your guys get a higher 37% knockout rate. And
Yeah, for a
what's the
wrestler.
difference? For a wrestler.
Zubaira's got speed and he has a good power.
That's pretty awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Hav. I know you get more podcasts to do. We got this one out. Maybe we'll do a live one of these days. When maybe when you're Dubai, we might have a better connection. This seemed to come out pretty good, though. We didn't drop off at all. I have the fast internet plugged in. What people don't understand is hotel internet is not always as fast as what you get at home. And having a mobile podcast that we do from anywhere in the world, that's what's different about us. It doesn't matter where you are, Hav, we get a podcast. Kind of nuts. I kind of envy the guys that have a studio, but
Nuts and bolts.
nuts and bolts. Well, you have a great one, Javier.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.